Host, the DJ A Ski, and the place to be. It's good to be here. I'm glad you're here joining us. Got a lot to uncover. We're going to be covering a little bit of health, wellness, music, war stories. I mean, I don't even know where to begin, but if anything, I'm happy that you're here. I want to get into a tweet that I saw on Twitter the other day. And for those that are not on Twitter, I'm Mr. Unique 74, courtesy of Twitter. I noticed a post. I noticed a long, lengthy conversation in terms of tech. And when I mean tech and sound, I'm really dealing more with the club aspect of it, where, and this is it's always kind of been a thing where DJs that come in that are new to a venue, they basically unwire and just throw all the sound system off. Like they pretty much swap wires, and they don't think of the DJ that comes after them the following night in terms of putting the wiring back. They bring their own rig and their own sound, and they don't have the common courtesy to basically put all the equipment back as they found it. And it's always been a hindrance with a lot of venues. If you have a sound man, they pretty much assist in taking care of that. Really, really good venues that can, afford the overhead of having a sound man. But in some cases where they don't have a sound man, you run into issues like this where, a newbie comes in and starts unplugging things and not putting things back according to how they found it. And more of your newer generation that uses controllers, and it's really crazy. And bear in mind, keep in mind, I'm not going to, speak down on people that use controllers, because I use controllers, but only for the key purpose of convenience. I've always made sure when I went into a venue, and this is for all new DJs that are up and coming, learn how to leave the equipment as you found it. Whatever the house does, pretty much follow the house. Whatever mixer that they have that is not suitable for your taste, that's fine and good, but bring your own mixer, which is a given, but make sure you put everything back according to how you found it, because what happens is it throws everything off. And so you got somebody that comes in for sound check. Typically they're used to doing sound check and so forth, but when they get there, they have to go through a whole rewiring process, even with the Serato hookup. I know in the beginning when Serato was just coming out, it was a big issue in terms of the wiring. Now, you have the mixers that have the built-in Serato, so you really shouldn't have that problem. But overall, have the common courtesy in putting the equipment back as you found it. It's a sign of being a professional, and it's a sign of common courtesy. Mainly, you run into issues where, guys just don't know what they're doing, and they're kind of winging it, and they want to start unplugging things without necessarily talking to the bar owner, or, it's like, have common courtesy for your fellow DJs that come in the night after, so they don't have to deal with the burden of basically rewiring everything back to how after you messed it up. And that's no shot, but it's a reality. Concentrate on learning the basics of sound. For me, because you have a lot of DJs that don't even know how to hook up sound. They go, trying to unplug things that they don't understand. And I say you should learn the basics. And this is for up and coming DJs. I think you should learn the basics of sound and knowing how to hook up sound, knowing what a phono plug is, a XLR, banana cable, all that stuff. You know what I mean? That way, when you do any type of plugging in or unplugging and so forth, you know how to get in and out smoothly if you have your own custom setting. That way, again, the DJ that comes on the following night, they don't have any problems. And I'm sure if they have a custom set or a custom setting, they can be able to, move accordingly as well. Just basic etiquette. I think we're running into a generation of DJs that necessarily don't do it for the sport of it. It's more of a clout thing. And again, it's, to each his and her own. But to really get into this art form, I feel you should come from a sincere place. You got a lot of people that just jump on, and they get a few likes and whatnot, and they get us, it's the hype. It's not about the music, So I think if anything, learn the basic elements of DJing. It's not about, not practicing common courtesy and trying to be a rock star and all that. If anything, just learn the basics of that. Other than that, just really just laying low. Right now we're in the middle of, a pandemic and so forth, coming in and out of it. It's kind of hard to determine what it's looking like right now. But hopefully everyone is safe. I know me personally, I've had to turn down a few gigs because, at first, like early in the summer, I want to say a little bit before the summer, probably around March, I want to say March or April, it was basically, a situation where the numbers were going down and people were going out again. They started opening up venues and so forth. But as time went on, people got careless and, walking around with no mask on, once they felt like everything is quote unquote back to normal, not necessarily letting the situation ride out, and so forth. And that's for everybody, no matter what your status is, I feel it's important to practice the basic safety protocols. You can argue with science and that so forth. That's a personal, thing or whatever. I'm not necessarily here to speak on that end, but in terms of just basic safety, I think your common sense should really kick in, but again, common sense isn't so common these days. Nevertheless, I had to personally pull back recently, and I miss playing out. Trust me. Shout out to everybody that's out playing. Be safe. Watch your surroundings. Mask up as much as possible. Don't ruin your immune system in terms of over drinking and eating poorly. Just take care of yourself. You only got one life to live. So. A lot of that also has to deal with in terms of, people, again, in terms of just what's going on right now. Just be aware, just be aware of what's happening, in terms of your city and, the type of crowds that you're dealing with and so forth. Other than that, have fun, but personally, I had to turn down a few gigs. Within the past few months. I hated doing it because these are really dope parties and dope promoters that I like working with. But I had to think of the long term. I'd rather just, ride this thing out. And when it's, I would say back to what it was early in the summer, where it was like, okay, the numbers were double digit. In terms of, the pandemic, it was like, okay, we could deal with that. But when you start getting into triple digits and so forth, it just gets real ugly. So, I personally made the commitment of falling back, as a result. However, to everybody that is out and that's out still working and still being active, take care of yourself and be careful out there. That's pretty much that on that. And other than that, I just been really concentrating more on creating and making music and so forth. I got a release that I'm coming out with. Well, I don't want to talk too much about that, but hold tight for that. That's going to be a good situation. And I got 2 other releases that are out. Change the Mood and Introspection. Quick plug. You know what I'm saying? You can find that on iTunes, Bandcamp, and so forth. But other than that, I just been really concentrating, more on the spiritual end of just, taking things in a day at a time and, keep staying in shape, staying healthy and so forth. And I was on that kick before all this happened, as people that work in the nightlife, we get caught up in a lot of bad habits, whether it's drinking, smoking, and so forth. I wasn't a smoker. I was more the beer guy. and so forth. And the bartenders would, they would give you shots and all that, and the chicks and everything. So it was just too much. It was just like, nah, like we got to cut this out. So I've been vegan and taking care of myself and so forth, going on, man, like that's going on 10 years now. Not even 10, like since 2000, I want to say 2015, 16 or something like that. But overall though, I just been looking in terms of, the broader scope of things, as opposed to, okay, we party like rock stars and all that. Nah, it's like, take care of yourself. A lot of us, none of us are getting any younger, so let's preserve, because people say, oh, you're going to die anyway. It's like, that's a cheap cop out, preserve what you have already, and not only that, it saves doctor bills too in the long run. But, I wanted to shout out everybody that's out there working during the summer, still playing, still being active, and still, holding it down, and traveling as well. That's a big deal. And that's where we're at in terms of that's that, as they would say. I think right now, as far as vinyl, like I still pretty much dig, but it's funny because you have a whole, like, and I'm really happy to see this. You have a whole new generation of record diggers out there, and I love it. It shows that there's an appreciation for music. And what's crazy is TikTok is opening up a whole nother generation. It's weird because I'm hearing people repost songs that we listened to when we were in high school and junior high. So in terms of going into technology now and social media, social media is funny because it's the gift and the curse, but you have to appreciate the gifts that are there, because a lot of songs that aren't even played on the radio anymore, they're being highlighted in social media, courtesy of TikTok in particular. Someone was posting, what song was that? Oh, It's Tricky by Run DMC. Now you have a whole nother generation, that is never, were too young to even really see the emergence of Run DMC, but they know It's Tricky. And that's probably, man, now as many hits as they have, that's probably, and we were talking about this online too, not too long ago. It's Tricky is probably their biggest record, and they have a lot of hits, but It's Tricky is the one that, even when it first came out, a lot of people say Walk This Way. Walk This Way was I'll break it down like this. With Run DMC, Rockbox was the shot in the air. Sucker MCs and It's Like That was like, okay, we're here. Peter Piper and Walk This Way was like, okay, we're here to stay. It's Tricky was like, okay, we're solid. We're not going anywhere. So anything else, every record after that pretty much was a walk in the park, So when you make records like that, it's like you have to have a level of, I don't think they were even thinking in terms of the long term. I think they were just going with the flow in terms of the team they were working with, but also thinking beyond the last record, and mainly having talent, of course, and the, great production helps as well. And, but going back to It's Tricky, records like It's Tricky, basically has another life now with the social media generation, which I think is really cool, because radio necessarily really doesn't play those songs anymore. So, that's a good thing in terms of social media. However, with social media, you have a lot of, how can I put it? It's like certain songs that I like, I hate them being used in a poor manner. I'm saying like I don't know, like with social media, it's kind of like give and take. You have to take it for face value, but it's just good to see songs, that we liked and what we grew up on being highlighted and celebrated and so forth. If anything, let's get into a little digging here. See what we got here. And this is part of the show where we kind of highlight some of the stuff that I appreciate and what I listen to. So let's see what are we working with here. This one right here I've been on lately. This one right here, weather report. This is probably like 70. I want to say like, yeah, 73, 75. This is 70, 73. This is Sweet Nighter. Okay. Great album. Of course, Wayne Shorter's on there, Joe Zawinul. It's Wayne, who's on here? I can never pronounce his name. Miroslav Vato. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Dom Ramao, Eric Gravit. And this is just a beautiful, this is probably one of my personal favorite album from Weather Report. And they got a lot of good albums, but this one is just funky. 125th Street Congress is like the personal favorite. I remember when I first heard Far Side Passing Me By, because that's where they ripped that doo 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 doo. They got it from this. I discovered this record when I was in college. So that was probably like 19. That was like 92, 93 or whatever. But this was one of those blind digs, that I found. I didn't even know what was on it in those days, and I still kind of do it, where I just kind of grab whatever I see and I play it. When I get home, I don't know what's on it. Now I'm a lot more seasoned than I was once upon a time. But then I used to just grab stuff, man. And this is one of the gems that I grabbed at that time. And it's a beautiful record. You should definitely pick it up if you ever see it, or download it if you're on iTunes and other digital outlets and so forth. Great album. It's just funky, so you definitely want to pick it up. What's another personal highlight for today's episode? Let's see. Oh, since we're here, shoot, it's a beautiful album right here. This is the Stair Steps. Later, well, they're originally the 5 Stair Steps, but as time went on, they went on to become the Stair Steps. George Harrison's label Dark Horse eventually signed them, and here we are. This is their 1970. I want to say 77. Okay, they put the year on here. Nevertheless, this is, I want to say, if I remember correctly, this was like 77 because it's, let's see. So 76. So it's a year before. Beautiful album. Malcolm Cecil and Bob Margoloff, may he rest, had an involvement on this album, on the programming and co-production as well. Billy Preston is on here as well, playing on From Us to You. It's actually the highlight song of this album. There's a lot of highlights on it. Actually, that was the hit single, because I remember them playing it a lot when I was a kid. Definitely want to get this. It's definitely definitely 1976. Good album. Dark Horse, George Harrison label at the time. Kenny Burke, who's the bass player, because it's all the Burke brothers. For those that don't know, the 5 Stair Steps were basically brothers out of Chicago, and I think their sister Aloha was a part of the group as well. And Kenny played bass, so I think he had a solo album on Dark Horse. In fact, he did. He had a really good solo album on Dark Horse. So if you ever see that, grab that as well. A lot of just good songs on here. My personal favorite is From Us to You and Salam. Definitely want to get this. Name of the album is Second Resurrection. If you ever see it, grab it. It's a beautiful album. A lot of stuff you won't find on iTunes for whatever reason, whether it's legal limbo that they're stuck in with the label or the publishing or whatever. But, that's why vinyl, I think, is the gift that keeps on giving. Nothing against modern technology and so forth and downloading, but with a lot of vinyl, especially a lot of classics, it's difficult to find. Because of the legal limbo that they got to deal with in terms of getting those songs cleared. And sometimes, the artists themselves or the publisher, may be adamant in terms of not having that song on digital formats. And, they have that right. But never. Yeah, man, just going to jump down memory lane right quick. used to get it in like heavy. You dig what I'm saying? Like, see, it's crazy. Like, this is Cahuenga, or Cahuenga Boulevard. It done changed up everything. That used to be the old Solar building back in the day. It turned into, Babyface ended up buying it. It became LaFace. But yeah, that's the OG Solar building. I remember the homeboy back in the day, the studio was actually right down the street. Like one of these buildings here, where that young lady with the white shirt is walking. The homeboy had me, Fat Jack had a studio over there, and that was the first time I ever really did some studio work, bringing in samples and all that. Shout out to Fat Jack, and good times. That was in the 90s. But fast forward into like the 2000s, I played in this place called The Room, and as you can see, they remodeled it and so forth. None of this was here. Like this gate, this used to be nothing but piss and oil back here. We used to get it in like heavy, right? So like these buildings weren't here. None of this was here. I forgot what was here, but in fact, I think this was just this was nothing but a vacant lot. Like none of this was here. And this was trying to remember, that was Heidi Fleiss's old building. She was there for a hot second. And then that was the door to The Room. And everybody would, get checked in and whatnot, the doorman let everybody in and so forth. And it was so funny. I used to bring like 4 or 5 crates or whatever. And I had my Night Love is the Message every Thursday night. Used to get it in. They had me on Saturdays too. This is